Okay, so here's the instructions for the erosion and deposition detective. So you're going to follow these instructions right here. Pretty straightforward. You just go google.sites.ccta science. You click on this link, and you're going to click Earth in Space, Weathering, Erosion and Deposition, Erosion and Deposition Detectives, and you're going to have this page pop up. Now what you have to do is you have to select one of these cases right here. So they're the ones I labeled right here. You're going to pick one of them. So let's say you want to do glacial erosion. So you pick that one. It's going to open up a link. And then on that link, you're going to see some pictures there. Okay. So you have 3 pictures. 1, 2, 3. Notice that in each picture you have some arrows. They're pointing they're pointing at some feature in the landscape. And what you have to do is figure out how did glacial erosion cause these features right here. Okay, that's where the detective part comes in. So what you have to do is you have to research that. Okay. So once you've selected your topic, glacial erosion, for example, you're going to write it in up here. You put up glacial erosion. Okay. And now you see your pictures. You're going to start researching it. You're going to do your detective part, and you got to cite some sources. So the research part and the sources instructions are right here. Okay. You got to figure out how your feature was formed through what type of erosion and deposition. How did they cause those features? Okay. So you're going to use at least 3 websites and 1 YouTube video to obtain your information. Okay. I've already given you one resource right here, and I really suggest you start with it because it's going to be a good starting point. So if you're doing glacial erosion, you're going to go under resources here. You're going to go to the glacial erosion resource, obviously. So you click on that, and it's going to open up a pretty decent resource that has to do with glacial erosion. And you kind of look for those features that you saw in your pictures, try to find them here. So for example, I go to this picture right here. This picture looks pretty similar to what's going on here. So then I can read about it in this little section here, and that'll help me give some information about what's going on here, and therefore what's going on here. Okay, so that's kind of the first step. And you're gonna, every time you use a resource, you're gonna cite it right here in your sources. So on the instructions, I put, when you cite your source, okay, you can either write the name of the website or the article title where you got your information. So in this case, this website, and I'm okay if you put maybe like, I don't know, ck12.org. And then you could put this one, landforms from Great Glacial Erosion and Deposition. That could be the article title. Okay, so you can do that, and you're going to have to cite. So there's one resource, one website. And you would need to cite at least 2 more websites, and then find a YouTube video also that talks about one of your things. Okay. All right. Then you got to figure out the specific or technical name for each of the 3 features that were created. So if I go back here, and let's say, look at this one here. Okay. Already I'm seeing right here that there's some technical terms here that probably apply to what's going on here. Oops. Okay, so I've read through this and I see, a couple of terms here, and I see that they talk about linear rock deposits are called moraines. If you want, you can just even Google search that.
How do you find you want vocabulary word?
Okay, so I've Google searched the moraines, and I see a lot of the pictures here, including probably the one I put on the website. So now that you've figured out what this thing is called, you know you can you can start looking at videos and see formation of moraines. These things will start explaining how these things are formed, so you can get more information. You can use that as a source, or you can look up some other websites here and you can use those as a source too. Okay, so there's a lot of options you can do. All right, so that's kind of the vocabulary part. So you're gonna identify what's the technical term for this thing, one, this thing right here, two, and these things right here, three. And you're gonna include that in your vocabulary section. You're gonna have what those things are called, those different formations, what they're called. And three of them. I also want you to include two additional vocabulary words you learned while researching these features, okay? So any other two vocabulary words, anything new that you learned, you're going to include that here in the vocabulary section, okay? And you could put a couple more if you want. You don't have to just limit yourself to 5. All right. Last part is the explanation. So you're going to explain how these features are formed. Your explanation must include the vocabulary words from the vocabulary section, and you got to underline those words whenever you use them. Okay? Your explanation must also include some sort of diagram explaining how erosion or deposition created your features. So you're going to fill that part out in the back sheet here. Okay, if you need more space, just get another piece of paper and you can write it out. And once again, you should be able to explain how these things are formed after you've done your research, after you've read about it, after you've looked up some additional websites, after you've watched some videos. Okay, those should help you do all the research you need to figure out how these things are formed. All right. Last part, the part everyone loves, is the presentation. So you're actually going to present this to the class. So here's how it works. You're going to show the images you researched. So the images are these ones. Okay, and then you're going to give your explanation of how they were formed. Okay, if you have any diagrams that you put in your paper, you can include that, as well as any pictures or videos in your explanation. Okay, you can record your presentation. If since you're not here in class, you can just record it, and we could play it for the class later. We can upload it on the website. And your presentation must be between 5 to 7 minutes. Most of you probably won't be working in pairs, but if you are, each person has to present for an equal amount of time. Okay, and that's pretty much it for the whole assignment. Oh, one last thing. Um, Ideally, you got to pick something that someone else isn't doing. So if you know someone is doing mass movement, pick a different feature that someone else is not doing. And that's it.